Alright, so Ayaka and Shenhe banner has just dropped, and if you have been following my prediction video, it's a good thing that this time around we managed to guess quite correctly, almost guess 100% correct. We did manage to get Sucrose this time and almost Diona, as we have talked a bit about Diona, but I kinda crossed her out at the end because we didn't really think that another cryo character would actually appear. But this time around the banner turns out to be really well, which is why we have this video discussing the 5 most important points you want to keep in mind before actually go ahead and pull on any of these banner. Now guys, there are so many lovely people watching my videos, yet there's still up to 90% of us who are not subscribed to my channel. So if you're new here, be sure to click on the subscribe button, as it is a free way to support my YouTube career and not miss out on my future Genshin Impact video. I really appreciate you guys. And so with that guys, let's just keep things short and hop right in. Now, first off, some of the most important point regarding Ayaka is that up until now, in my experience, she is still one of, if not the top tier DPS in the game because of how unique her gameplay is, from her 100% uptime cryo infusion, making her perfect running in a freeze or melt team. Not to mention her normal and charge attack deal really good damage as well, so she is a really good character to be on field. However, her burst damage is not something to laugh at. Whenever her burst is on, all of the enemies on field should be cowering in fear, hoping that it does not hit them, because if it does, it is a sure kill on any single one of them. It does 20 tick in like 4 seconds or something, which is really fast. Now when using Ayaka, the good thing about her also is that you don't really have to invest too much because she is quite free to play friendly. The only part you really need to think about is probably regarding her artifacts, like which set you really want to go for her, as she do have 2 different playstyles regarding an on-field DPS or a burst sub DPS support. So there's going to be the Blizzard Strayer or the Emblem Fate set you really have to think about in terms of building her. But other than that, she's just a really beautiful, unique, powerful character who is falling for our main character. She doesn't really have too much downside guys. The only biggest thing regarding Ayaka right now is that, especially when you're running her as a burst support, you really have to ensure that her burst is gonna hit, because she herself has one of the easiest bursts to miss in the game as far as I can see, which is why usually Ayaka is best run in a freeze team to ensure that she hits her burst 100% of the time. Other than that guys, as long as you're ensuring that you're doing her burst correctly, I would say that she is really good almost on all levels. Next, we have Shenhe, her very first rerun, and also a very unique character. I would say one of the most unique character in terms of playstyle in the game. Now regarding Shenhe, if you didn't know, she's a very niche support regarding cryo element, or in other words, she is a cryo buffer for you. As long as you have her on a cryo team, you will see an immense difference of having and not having her on your team, which is why most of us, whoever already have Shenhe and is maining cryo, we will never not have Shenhe on our team, because Shenhe just do her job that well. But not only that, she also have access to normal attack buffing for the team as well, so it's not just that she is only gonna be supporting cryo characters, but any other elements on your team will still have a bit of a buff from Shenhe. Some of the downside that Shenhe is having at this point in time is that a lot of her buff also come from her burst, therefore you really need to keep in mind about her energy recharge level. And considering the fact that at C0 her E skill has pretty long cooldown, she would definitely need a lot of particle support from other character on the team. Either that or she has to be holding a Favonius Lance to support her with energy recharge. Her Ice Quill is also designed in such a way that it's limited numbers for each character, so many of the time you have to keep in mind the rotation rather than just spamming cryo damage on one character on your team. Furthermore, she can also be a bit difficult to slot in different team comp at times, as she often compete for a slot of a healer or a shielder on your team, but now that's pretty much an easy fix since we have access to a lot of healer already. So overall, Shenhe is a character character that is especially for Cryo Team, which makes her kind of like a character in that you either need her or don't need her on your account. However, I'm sure that most of us are going to be using a Cryo Team somewhere down the line, so I can see that Shenhe is going to be holding up her value for a long time. Alright, next let's discuss about specifically on the banner. I would say it is an interesting 4-star roster this time around. I have no idea why Hoyoverse decided to leave it as a cryo banner at this point in time. It is so weird, but once again, the funny thing is that Eula is still nowhere to be seen. It is a cryo character with Mika on the banner, yet Eula is not here as a cryo physical character. But it is what it is at this point in time. Now as for Mika, we're definitely not going to be looking too in-depth in this video, as I've already made quite a pre-release analysis on him before. You can really check out this video after this. But as far as what he does best, which is buffing and helping out your physical team, Mika does his job really well. So if you're still looking for building like a physical team for your Eula or especially Razor at this point, Mika is a perfect character for you to try and grab. Other than that, we have Diona along with Sucrose, which makes a lot of sense, and thankfully Hoyoverse just favor this banner really well. You're practically able to build a full and complete mono cryo team with Ayaka, Shenhe, Diona and Sucrose. Even though mono cryo won't be able to make too much use of the EM buff that Sucrose gives, but for the players who are newer to the team or is lacking many characters on their account, this is just a perfect situation. Now I know that Diona and Sucrose is technically a very old character at this point, so we would say that many of you have already got a lot of their constellations. However, these two character constellations are really good, and it's something that's advisable for you to try and get their C6 on. So even if you're trying to pull for these 5 characters and you're landing on one of these 4-star character, it's kind of like a win for you already. Though I do understand that if any of you already have these two characters at C6, it doesn't really help too much, but well, it is what it is, right? So overall, any one of you who is trying to get Ayaka or Shenhe, these banners is really good for you to pull on. And then next we have the weapon banner. Now at this point in time, I would just go ahead and say that any banner that have the mist splitter on is gonna be half good already. But this time around, we are running alongside with the Calamity Queller. Now this is gonna be a really good or bad thing depending on whether you want Shenhe or not. Though the Calamity Queller is an absolutely perfect weapon for Shenhe, none other poem at this point can beat this weapon in terms of ranking for Shenhe. But other than that, it's going to be a bit tougher for you to use this weapon on a lot of other poem character because of how the stats are pretty much focusing on your attack bonuses, which will require you to balancing out a lot of your other crit ratio as well as energy recharge if you're planning to use this on other character. But it's not really a worst thing as well, because this weapon also has the highest base attack in the game plus a very good passive boost. So even if you end up getting this weapon without Shenhe on your account, it is still pretty much a win for you. This is coming from a direct experience of me utilizing the Calamity Queller for quite some time now. And also not to mention the other 4-star weapons as well. You've got especially the Favonius Lance at this point, which is the perfect weapon for Shenhe if you don't get the Calamity Queller, and running alongside that with a Sack Sword and a Favonius Bow. So overall, this weapon banner I would say is pretty good. Though we still do have to deal a lot with the pity, I do wish that whenever you're trying to pull for whatever weapon, you will get the weapon of your choice. And then up next, let's discuss a bit about some of the future banners you need to keep in mind for. So we already know that our current second phase banner Ayaka and Shenhe is a very good choice for you to pull on if you want to go for these two characters, because they haven't really been back for quite a while and we don't know when they're going to be back as well. But also we really can't disregard the upcoming banner together, since 3.6 I believe are going to be featuring some of the really good ones out there. Baizu and Kave, I don't really know if I'm really pronouncing his name correctly, is gonna be featured. Now we don't know exactly if Kave is gonna be on Baizu's banner or in the second phase, but from the community standpoint alone, I know that many of us have been saving up for Baizu and loving Kave's character design for quite some time now, so they are expected to be pulled. However, that is not the only case. From a lot of prediction, Nahida, our favorite Dendro Archon, is most likely gonna be back. And again, if you didn't know, then all of the Archon character in Genshin Impact is really gonna be good ones. So in other words, these characters are kind of like a really must have on your account if you're more focusing on the meta. And also it is already her first rerun, so after that we really don't know when she's gonna be back, especially when after patch 3.6 our summer vacation event is gonna be right around the corner, and right after that it's gonna be mostly Fontaine events already. So this is something that you really need to consider hard before putting out your Primo Gems, and hopefully once again the new patches are gonna be giving us a lot of free gems from there as well, so that it helps you to save up. So overall that should be everything I want to discuss about in this video. I really hope that whichever character you're planning to pull for, you will be able to get them. However, if you're still having trouble deciding exactly which character you should be going for, then once again I have a really in-depth detail going through that, so be sure to click on this video right now, as I am sure it will be very helpful to you. If you have any question, leave it down in the comment section. Once again, if you're new to the channel guys, be sure to subscribe to not miss out on my future Genshin Impact video. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me till this part of the video, and with that I wish you a super day and I will catch you on my next video.